everyone, and welcome to the Rambler Podcast. This is our introductory episode of the podcast where I'm going to share with you a little bit about myself, the format for the podcast, and the purpose of it. So first off, my name is Jimmy Smith, and I will be your host for this new podcast we have launched. I'm a proud member of the Cathedral Prep class of 2011, and after that, I went on to Slippery Rock University. I then came back to Erie and began my working career. So my role here at Prep is that I am the Assistant Vice President of Development and Strategic Initiatives. I am responsible for the Business Alliance Advertising Program, which that gives businesses and organizations the opportunity to advertise with us at the Haggerty Family Event Center. I am also responsible for our Earned Income Tax Credit Program through the state of Pennsylvania. So basically how that works is that businesses and individuals are able to apply with the state of Pennsylvania on an opportunity to, instead of paying taxes to the Department of Pennsylvania Revenue, they can elect to have their tax dollars come to our school for tuition assistance, so it can benefit our students and families instead. The state of Pennsylvania then gives those businesses or individuals a tax credit on their contribution. And then beyond that, I'm also responsible for overseeing certain aspects of the event center that pertain to our rental program and spirit store. And I also handle sponsorship opportunities and just general office duties in our advancement department here. And then outside of my professional career, I've been married to my beautiful and amazing wife, Amber, for 6 years this coming September. We have 3 kids with another on the way. Yeah, some call us crazy, because Braden will be 4 in September, prep class of 2037. Carter is 2.5, prep class of 2038. And Aubrey is 1, prep class of 2039. Our 4th child, Olivia, is due in late October, and she will be a member of the prep class of 2041. And yes, Amber jokingly calls me ridiculous for knowing exactly what years those kids are going to be graduating from prep. We're keeping busy at home with those kids for sure, having a blast. Being a dad is such a blessing to my life, and it gives me a tremendous amount of joy and purpose. So that's just a quick background on myself, so you know who I am and what I do here. But let me tell you, I'm beyond excited to launch this new podcast because I truly bleed black and orange. My dad, Jim Smith, was the baseball coach for prep in the early 2000s, so I was always around the prep culture growing up. And since I was just a boy, I always knew I was going to be a Rambler. There wasn't a doubt in my mind of where I was going to go to school. And whether you went to prep or Villa, when I talk about how special of a place prep or Villa is, you just understand it. You get it. The camaraderie is just second to none. The brotherhood at prep or the sisterhood at Villa is irreplaceable, what makes this place so unique. A quick story, I remember when I was at Slippery Rock. Amber and I went to Slippery Rock together. We were walking from class or something, and I ran into a kid who was a senior at prep when I was a freshman, so I doubt he would even recognize me, but I recognized him, and I went up and just kind of said, "Roll Ramblers," and introduced myself, and we got to talking, and it was as if we were best buds. And Amber at the time was like, "You and your prep connections, or you and your prep brotherhood, so funny." And she's like, "I'll never understand it." And I'll never forget this, but that guy looked at Amber and said, "Hey, you know what? It is, funny and jokingly like how we connected like this, but if you ever had a flat tire or something happened to your car, you couldn't reach Jimmy for whatever reason, you call any of us that went to prep and, told us who you were and what happened. We would drop what we were doing and be there in a second, because that's what the brotherhood is about. It's about servant leadership. It's about being there for one another." And I get chills talking about it to this day because it was so true and just hit the nail on the head for me of what it means to be a brother prep with this guy. And, if you went to Villa, you could say the same thing about the sisterhood and those feelings you have about your fellow classmates. So, that's what makes me so proud to work here at the school and truly excited about launching this podcast. So let me get into the format of how this podcast is going to go. So on the first Monday of each month, we're going to release a podcast where I'm going to have a conversation with a prominent Prepperville alum. We're going to talk about their time at Prepperville, special memories they had there, and how Prepperville prepared them for work life and their family life. But then we're going to dive into their career. We're going to talk about lessons they learned in their journey, and it'll allow us to be able to learn from their story and experiences they had in the areas of success and leadership. My goal is that regardless of the field you work in, you will be able to gain value from these conversations that you can apply at your place of work or business. Now, on the third Monday of each month, we're going to release a podcast of a staff member, faculty member, or coach from here at Prep. This is going to give you an opportunity to learn more about how this person ended up here at Prep, what they do in their role in serving our students and families, and any success stories on a student or student athlete that they might be able to share. This will be a great informative podcast to keep you up to date on the things happening in our school. So that kind of is a little bit about myself, a little about the format of the podcast, and now the reason why we're launching this podcast comes back to our mission statement here at Prep. And the second part of that mission statement says, with a foundation of faith, family, excellence, and tradition, we develop men and women of vision and spirit, mind, and body, aka we develop leaders. We develop leaders in our families, leaders at our place of work or business, and leaders in our communities. We have such an amazing alumni base of people from Prep and Villa who truly have gone on to accomplish some tremendous things in their life and career by being leaders. The purpose of this podcast is for us as a community to continue to grow and being better leaders in our families, being better leaders in our place of work or business, and better leaders in our communities by learning from those people who have become successful in their respective fields. So we're going to quote unquote tap into the minds of some of these people who have accomplished some great things in their life and have a chance as a community to learn together from them so we can all be better out there in our world today. So that about does it for the introduction episode for this podcast, the Rambler Podcast. As mentioned, I am beyond excited to launch this podcast and truly hope you gain as much value from it as I know I'm going to for sure. Always feel free to reach out and connect with me, on Facebook or LinkedIn, or even email me at jimmy.smith@cathedralprep.com. So thank you so much for listening to this introductory episode, and look forward to the first episode of the podcast being launched on August 1st, and stay tuned for more details on who our very first special guest will be. Thank you.